Now let's see how tasks are defined. After process analysis, the forms that are components of tasks need to be defined. That is, the form or forms that start a task, the form or forms that end a task, and intermediate forms that are included within a task. The new task is created by dragging a form to the New Task section. A new task formatting menu is opened immediately, showing the various task properties. Note that by default, the setting Include Forms Auto is defined. Within this setting, after defining the start and end forms, all intermediate forms are marked as members of this task automatically. Then you may remove any of the forms from this task manually if needed. If you choose the Include Forms Manually setting, you will need to define all the forms of the task manually. This gives you great flexibility in defining tasks, allowing even tasks whose forms overlap, as shown in the Check Purchase Order Details and Update Billing Information tasks. Let's review what other options and settings are available here. By right-clicking on the form icon, a variety of options become available. Let's briefly consider the option Mark as Required. This setting allows you to define required forms within a task. This means that while looking for instances of a task, the system will look for specific groups of forms that contain start forms, end forms, and required forms. Without these necessary forms, task matching will not occur. If you define a task where, beyond required forms, start forms, and end forms, there are some additional added forms, then no matter if these added forms are found or not within a task, there still will be task matching. Note that when you add multiple required forms, you can select the required mode OR when the required forms are variable and only one of the required forms can be included into tasks. You can select the require mode AND when all the added required forms are mandatory and should be included in a task instance. All removed and required forms are shown in the Task Properties menu. You may be asking yourself about form control level. Can the task start or end from an event within a form? Further, can an event be set as required from within a form? The answer is yes. Right-click on the form icon, which belongs to the form that you have already defined as start, end, or required form. Select the View Form Controls option, and the control level window will open. Here you can define any event or multiple events as start, or end, or required, depending on what form you have opened. The number near the form icon shows how many events are selected within a form. Note that you can also open this dialog by double-clicking on the form icon. Note the option Discover Task in the upper top corner. This option gives you the ability to find task suggestions based on the forms you choose. To do this, click on this option. The system will find all tasks based on the forms you defined and will create a task within these forms. So first of all, you need to give a name for the task. For example, we want to find suggestions for saving attachments from emails. Next, you need to select the forms of interest. Note that you need to define more than one form for the option to work. The information here is presented on two levels, the level of applications and the level of forms. So we define the forms of interest and the software. If it finds matches, it creates the task with corresponding events. Note that the forms you define are marked as required by default. It's possible that the software doesn't find any matches. It's important to know that the matches are found and the task is created only from multiple repeated instances of the task containing the specified forms. Now let's take a look at the Task Properties menu. First off, a meaningful name should be given to the task. Let's name it Select the Vendor or Supplier. The number at the top shows the number of task instances in all uploaded logs. In the Task Starts By section, you can select the cutting mode. The cutting mode must be defined properly whenever you have multiple start and/or end forms selected, as well as when there are more than one similar start and/or end forms. The following cutting modes are available. Last. The log will be cut at the last start form. or the last end form. The last cutting mode is selected by default. First, the log will be cut at the first start form or the first end form. Below, you can see a form or multiple forms defined as start form or start form variations. Here you can also see specific icons which facilitate one more way to open the control view of the form. In the Task Ends section, the settings are similar to those mentioned above. Also, there are two more options. Next Start Ends the Task can be useful when a great variety of end forms exist, but they are always followed by the same start form or forms. In this case, you don't need to define any end form. You can just toggle on this setting. The next setting is called End Form Same as a Start. This setting is useful when the task ends on the same form, but in a different event. So when one form is defined as a start, then this option should be toggled on. And in the control level form window, a specific event is defined as an end. Note that this option differs from the single form task option, which is useful when a task is completed in one single form. If you toggle on Can Be a Part of Other Tasks, the ability to see subtasks in the schema activates. After tasks are defined, to proceed to analysis, you need to click the Apply and Cut Logs button